Snow White is actually written by Greta Gerwig, who also wrote Barbie, and Lady Bird and Frances Ha. And we've been talking about her a lot recently because of Barbie, but also she's one of my favorite writers and directors. I've liked her since high school, so this pains me because what she is doing with Snow White seems absolutely terrible.
Dude, I trusted you. I trusted her.
Because she's involved, I want to believe that this movie will have some redeeming qualities. Will I actually watch it? Probably not, but I hope that it does for those of you who do watch it. But the lead actresses, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, are making it very, very difficult for me to believe that there is anything redeeming about this project whatsoever. Now, I am sure that we have all seen this viral clip, but let's just watch it.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Oh my god, it's a really incredible story. You're making this girl boss story based on an important father figure. Her father tells her to be brave and strong. Don't you think that there's a, something redeeming about men in this story? Oh, that just stood out to me. This is the first time I noticed that, even though I've watched this like 6 times now.
Just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
I am. Why do they look so smug? They both have that look on their face, just like the feminists, like, yeah, we're so much better.
Recent developments have given the Snow White narrative and the fierce competition between Brett Cooper and Rachel Zegler additional dimension. Brett Cooper, a well-known YouTuber, has drawn a lot of attention because of the contentious circumstances surrounding her resignation from the Daily Wire and her involvement in a rival Snow White rendition. Cooper has been silent about the matter in public, which has stoked speculation about the Daily Wire's financial problems and CEO Jeremy Boring's increasingly erratic conduct. Cooper was allegedly sacked in what sources describe as a hostile action. Cooper's casting as Snow White has been praised as a triumph despite the challenges by fans who want for a return to the timeless romance and enchantment that made the tale a classic. To the dismay of Rachel Zegler, her approach, which is grounded in the original story's tenets, has garnered a great deal of respect. Zegler, who is much criticized for her modern feminist version of the role, has made no secret of her disdain for Cooper's faithful adaptation. Zegler's harsh comments, calling her critics backward, have only made the dispute more intense. Not only a tale of two Snow Whites, this is a cultural struggle that is exposing deep rifts in Hollywood and beyond. 5th, Cooper's portrayal is being hailed as a welcome change from Zegler's approach, which still divides viewers. Adding more drama from the Daily Wire's financial has given the battle for Snow White new dimensions, captivating both fans and reviewers. Was it overkill for Disney to adapt a cherished classic to modern cultural storylines, or is Brett Cooper's original version exactly what audiences have been craving? Hold on tight, since this is just the beginning of the narrative. In addition to the turmoil, the Daily Wire is reportedly having serious financial problems. Internal rumors claim that CEO Jeremy Boring has been furiously buzzing the work problem. This upheaval makes Coop's transition into her new career as Snow White in aural production all the more interesting. There has never been a more significant moment for these advances. As Cooper takes center stage for her role as Snow White, the tension between her and her former employer raises questions about the Daily Wire's inner workings. Will this upheaval enable Cooper to really embrace her new job, or will it only make her position stronger? The Daily Wire's ambitious entry into the entertainment industry is likewise hampered by its challenges, despite its strong position in this pivotal Hollywood struggle. Even as Cooper's Snow White project becomes more well-known and praised for adhering to the original narrative, it is uncertain if the Daily Wire will be able to get over these internal problems and maintain its social presence. In order to fully understand what happened, let's pause and think. This may be written off as two actors with different creative perspectives at first sight, but a deeper look reveals that Zegler's approach is more about navigating a tough fight for public acceptability than it is about maintaining storyline integrity. Cooper's growing popularity and positive response have undoubtedly unsettled Zegler, who may see it as a direct attempt to undermine the legitimacy and relevance of her position. Since the hoopla around Cooper's performance is only getting started, it's hard not to see Zegler's comments as an effort to discredit her rival. It seems that her insecurity is the source of Zegler's critiques. Critics have already pointed out that her version of Snow White is too contemporary and disconnected from the character's history. But because of her own comments, such admitting that she had only watched the original film once and hated it, she hasn't been very popular with series fans. However, viewers have reacted well to Cooper's reverence for the original work and her emotional attachment to the role. Interviewed defensiveness and disdain for Cooper's approach point to a deeper concern of being overshadowed by someone who, strangely, isn't your average Hollywood actress. Zegler's stance also demonstrates a genuine difference in narrative principles, while rivalry and insecurity undoubtedly play a role. Her vision of Snow White as an independent, brave leader aligns with a broader Hollywood movement that updates iconic characters to embody contemporary values. Cooper, however, represents a counter-movement that values preserving the authenticity of traditional tales more than anything else. Cooper may have come under fire from Zegler because he believes that retelling the traditional Snow White story was archaic or backward. However, her disdain for the conventional themes of love and innocence comes off more as a rejection of the factors that made the narrative so popular with people all over the world. Ultimately, Zegler's critique reveals more about her than about Cooper. It shows an actress who struggles to strike a balance between her public character and her creative choices. And to be honest, I don't mind such a direct translation. But whether her assaults on Cooper are driven by competitiveness, insecurity, or disagreement, they were ill-considered. Zegler has chosen to change the topic in an attempt to discredit Cooper's account rather than take ownership of her polarizing depiction. Paradoxically, this just builds Cooper's reputation as a champion for those who feel that modern Hollywood has lost its way. Fans of Snow White, on the other hand, seem to be applauding Cooper's unreserved conventional depiction of the movie because they are tired of Hollywood's efforts to reinvent their favorite childhood films. The conversation about artistic direction that may have been fruitful now seems to be Zegler's desperate attempt to regain attention that is gradually shifting in her rival's favor. It pays homage to both the Brothers Grimm tale and Disney's original animated masterpiece to show how Brett Cooper's passionate depiction of Snow White has intensified resistance to Zegler's revised vision. Because her depiction is grounded in traditional virtues such as love, generosity, and resilience, it has been praised for respecting the story's history. Numerous admirers have lauded her portrayal as sincere and emotionally charged, and many have expressed joy that someone is finally bringing Snow White back to life as they remembered her. The fiercely independent Snow White, who rejects romantic love and leans toward concepts of female leadership, is the focus of Zegler's modified rendition, which has drawn criticism for omitting key elements of the original tale. Because of her public comments, such as her disdain for the 1937 film and her nonchalant attitude toward its subjects, Zegler has become a lightning rod for criticism. This criticism is reinforced by Cooper's respectful reading of the story, which presents Zegler as estranged from the same people she was supposed to captivate. Cooper's technique has been adopted by a significant portion of fans who feel duped by Disney's more woke retellings of classic. There's a lot more to find here, but as far as I'm concerned, traditional explanations are bad enough. You have to step back into the fact that Zegler's seeming apathy. Cooper openly honors Snow White's heritage, but Zegler admits to watching the original film just once before dismissing it, therefore there is a clear distinction. Although one actress wants to change the story's beginnings, the other honors them. The reaction against Zegler has increased as people come together to support Cooper as the rightful successor to the Snow White heritage. Cooper stands out as a symbol of rebellion against Hollywood's propensity to update cherished characters at the price of their natural charm. Among the constant comparisons of the two actresses in online forums and on social media, Zegler's guarded and even disdainful responses to criticism contrast sharply with Cooper's grounded, positive style. Despite Cooper's apparent friendliness and sincerity, Zegler has further alienated her with comments like eerie and archaic descriptions of the real Snow White. The pushback against Zegler has been fostered by this change in public perception because supporters feel Cooper exemplifies the traits they associate with Snow White, such as compassion, humility, and a connection to timeless narrative. Additionally, Cooper's success reflects broader societal attitude. People yearn for authenticity and nostalgia in an era of constant innovation. In addition to being a performance, her translation of Snow White is a cultural statement and a recovery of a story that many people feel has been distorted by Disney's more recent adaptations. Fans tired of Hollywood's purported pandering will find Cooper's approach refreshing. But Zegler's vision is a sour pill. Cooper's Snow White adaptation has not only reignited interest in the beloved story, but also brought attention to the perils of straying too far from its essential elements. Cooper's scrupulous adherence to the original plot has inadvertently created a benchmark by which Zegler's revised version is judged and deemed inadequate. Cooper's approach highlights how viewers are still firmly rooted in conventional narrative and resist unnecessary alteration, which has intensified the criticism directed at Zegler. What connection does Rachel Zegler's assessment of Brett Cooper's depiction as a danger have to her own comments about the original Snow White? It's really simple. Rachel Zegler may views Brett Cooper's interpretation of Snow White as a danger, since it goes against Zegler's contemporary vision and emphasizes how controversial her own strategy is. Cooper's interpretation of the 1937 classic, which is based on respect for the original narrative and its eternal ideals, stands in stark contrast to Zegler's rejection of it as creepy and outdated. The character becomes defensive and potentially insecure as a result of this discrepancy, which also undermines Zegler's attempts to redefine her and draws unfavorable parallels. The romantic and traditional ideas at the core of the original Snow White are rejected in Zegler's adaptation in favor of self-reliance and leadership. Cooper's depiction, however, highlights these same qualities that make them ageless. Cooper's embrace of the original character's innocence, generosity, and confidence in love has appealed to fans who cherish the story's heritage and evoke feelings of nostalgia. Given how much her vision differs from what many fans value, Zegler is at risk due to this stark discrepancy. A broader debate over the benefits of preserving traditional storytelling rather than updating it for modern audiences has been sparked by Cooper's success. Zegler sees this critique as a threat to her reputation as a proponent of progressive storytelling, as well as to her interpretation of Snow White. The possibility that audiences may not be as receptive to her proposal as she had thought forces her to confront it. Her comments on the original Snow White in public have significantly increased the anger against Zegler. Sime Websler. She has alienated a core group of fans by criticizing the 1937 film's focus on romance and love, and dismissing it as relevant to modern audiences. Her admission that she only saw the original film once and hated it further solidified the impression that she doesn't respect the character's legacy. Conversely, Cooper portrays herself as a champion of tradition because of her admiration for the original story and her personal connection to its themes. Because of this difference, Zegler's comments come out as condescending and outdated. The examination of Zegler's interpretation is increased, since fans who were previously skeptical of Zegler's approach now see Cooper as a more sincere and submissive steward of the Snow White lineage. The divergent approaches used by the two actors to Snow White reveal a deeper ideological struggle. Modern feminist ideals that value agency and leadership above traditional fairy tale romance align with Zegler's perspective. She writes, "While some may find this tactic appealing, it has also drawn criticism for undermining the character's natural attractiveness. On the other hand, Cooper represents a return to narrative grounded in timeless principles, which appeals to audiences who have grown tired of Hollywood's purported desire for woke reimaginings. Put differently, they don't want to hear about your varied values." This ideological struggle turns Cooper into a symbolic danger to Zegler's vision, proving that viewers may still be captivated by a true portrayal of Snow White. Cooper challenges the need of Zegler's revised narrative and calls into question Zegler's creative choices. Zegler's careful study may also indicate professional competitiveness. It's also possible that Zegler's reactions to Cooper's depiction reflect professional rivalry. Cooper lost her best position in Washington state appraisals, taking on an actress role as justified victim. Her fears of transformation and the loss of the acting role she occupied may have made her as bad of lucky as Cooper herself, given her pursuit of professional rivalry and creative realism. This dynamic might exacerbate Zegler's insecurities, as she might feel that Cooper's ability to win over the public with a more conventional strategy overshadows her. Furthermore, Cooper's portrayal is perceived as excessively critical and dismissive due to Zegler's defensive stance. Zegler's criticism of Cooper runs the risk of coming across as petty, rather than emphasizing her own strengths, which could further damage her reputation with fans. Cooper's portrayal has received praise for bringing Snow White to life in a sincere and emotional way. Her ability to capture the spirit of the character while respecting the story's origins has earned her accolades from fans. The polarizing reaction to Zegler's remarks and performance stands in stark contrast to this favorable reception. Zegler's strategy is portrayed more negatively the more Cooper is praised, which feeds back into their dynamic and increases the strain between the two actresses. Zegler's perception of Cooper as a threat highlights her concerns regarding how her version of Snow White will be received. It implies that Zegler is defensive about being overshadowed by a more conventional portrayal of the character and is acutely aware of the criticism her updated vision has received. It's possible to interpret her criticism of Cooper as an effort to divert attention away from her own contentious decisions. But this runs the risk of backfiring by confirming comparisons between the two portrayals. The main characters seem to live in real life, as demonstrated in Chapter 6, where we again see IMM materializing. However, upon returning to reality, it implies that Zegler is disconnected from her own contentious decisions. In truth, it suggests that Zegler also shadow bans. There you have it, a conflict of ideas and viewpoints between Rachel Zegler and Brett Cooper. Zegler's severe criticism of Cooper's Snow White may be the result of insecurity or a severe fear of being overshadowed. Cooper's accurate portrayal has garnered significant support, highlighting flaws in Zegler's updated strategy. This is a cultural conflict between tradition and innovation, and what we actually want from our stories. It's not just about two actresses running out of things to whisper on the subway platforms. It's about what the future will do for Disney. Will the controversy cause Disney's Snow White to fail, or will the Daily Wire's traditional approach hold up better? Please share your opinions in the comment section. Which team do you support?